welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Turn the Page. I'm your host today, Jen, and today I am joined by the creators of an absolutely delightful graphic novel. I read it twice over the course of 3 days because it is just so much fun. So I read it once for the interview and just one time for fun, and it was so great. And I am so excited for this conversation. So welcome to the show. Could I ask you to introduce yourselves and your book, please?
Hi, I'm really glad you enjoyed the book. You just asked us if we had any questions, and I should have said, like, did you like it? Just to see what kind of interview this was going to be. But so that's good news. My name's Rachael Smith. I'm the illustrator on Who Killed Nessie. I'm a comic creator based in Manchester in the UK, and I'm kind of mostly known for autobio comics, but I do make up stories as well. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Paul Cornell. If she hadn't liked the book, if Jen had hated it with a passion, this would be a grueling 25 minutes coming up.
Explain yourselves.
What were you thinking? My name is Paul Cornell. I'm a writer and podcaster from the Cotswolds. And I don't know why that's funny. It just is. It sounds like we should have podcasters in the Cotswolds. And I've written Doctor Who and Marvel and all sorts of things. It's been a long time. And I'm the writer of Who Killed Nessie?
I'd love to know a little bit more about your individual careers and how they led to the collaboration. As a sub question, I know that you've both worked on Doctor Who in different media. Do you feel like that has informed your creative sensibilities or your interest or your process?
What do you mean, has working on Doctor Who changed how we make creative work?
Oh, I mean, just sort of broadly. I'm sorry if that was a confusing
No,
question.
no.
Um, sort of, if you feel like there were either, experiences from collaborating on that project, on if whether it's like the process of collaboration or just sort of like the subject matter that you are interested in as artists.
Well, actually, I think the first time we worked together was on a Doctor Who backup strip. Rachel drew one of the backups in my Four Doctors book for Titan. And speaking for me, I kind of come from Doctor Who. I was a Doctor Who fan fiction writer back in the day. It's the golden thread that goes through all my career. It is never far from my thoughts. It is undoubtedly informed the storytelling of virtually everything I do.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think did I illustrate those strips before we'd met properly?
Yeah, we
I think
hadn't
I
met
did,
at that point.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's funny to think back. Yeah, so my Doctor Who uh work stuff. I did some backup comics for the Titan Doctor Who comic series. So I did the sort of funny bit at the end of the main comic. And I loved doing that job. I did that for about 3 years. And yeah, that was a really nice job. And being able to say that you worked on Doctor Who opened a lot of doors for me. And yeah, probably did lead me to meeting Paul properly, which was nice.
Great. Yeah, I didn't mean to ask such a difficult question, but I may have been asking it sort of leadingly because there is a sort of, for me anyway, a sort of similar like delight and whimsy and just sort of playfulness that sort of infects the work, I think, too. Yeah. So if we could talk a little bit about Lindsay, our main character, our protagonist, I'd love if you could talk a little bit about where she finds herself, both emotionally and geographically at the beginning of the story. And yeah, shaping her as a character and her adventures.
I feel like Paul should take the lead on this one, but I mean, I really love Lindsay. I see a lot of myself in her. And obviously Paul wrote her But I like to think that I put a lot of myself in the drawings of her. A lot of her acting is certainly I hope comes across like she's really trying. She's in a really difficult. She's just come out of a breakup, and she's really trying to see the positives in everything. So yeah, I really like that about her. She does recognize that she's going through a really tough time, but yeah, I think we meet Lindsay in a very kind of uh yeah, a difficult time, but you know, she's
Well, of course, I wrote her fully in the knowledge that Rachel was going to draw her. So I knew it was going to be a Rachel Smith woman. And the woman that Rachel Smith draws most often is Rachel Smith. So
true.
there's going to be a a bit of Rachel's DNA in there anyway. And I think it's a lovely collaboration. It's you as a writer you kind of lean in to the artist you know you're going to get. And with Rachel, I just write things I want to see her draw, and like a vaguely guilty looking Minotaur. That's what I got.
There are times where I wish I could see, the scripts where you just gave the sort of the physical descriptions of these creatures to see how they, appeared. Some
There's
of them
not a
are,
lot there. There's not a lot. It's mostly Rachel.
wow. Yeah, they're really so much fun. And I just love how their design and their personalities, like in some, they sort of conform to our expectations of like the legends and what these creatures are. Some subvert them a little bit in ways that are really funny and clever. I'm getting so ahead of myself. So Lindsay is working at this hotel after experiencing this awful breakup and a toxic relationship. Um, and yeah, there is a cryptid convention. First off, you capture the sort of the daily experience and the vibe of a professional conference very well in this too. It just happens to be if you had subbed out all the cryptids for human beings, it would still be a very accurate conference portrayal.
No,
Thanks. I
I've
mean,
been.
Paul, oh, sorry. I was just gonna say Paul probably more than me, but yeah, we've both been to our fair share of comic conventions. Some really lovely, some probably, I mean, certainly for me, I've been to a few in like old hotels, and it's really obviously their first time doing it, and they don't really, everything's a little bit rickety. And I don't know, I think with the hotel. I wanted to sort of capture a little bit of faded grandeur. I don't know if Paul wanted me to do that, but that was the sort of vibe I got. I really love hotels like that, that were once really obviously beautiful and luxurious, and now are just like, yeah, a
I,
bit off the
I've
beaten track.
I've definitely been stuck in hotels like that for a convention. And when
Yeah.
I say stuck, it's sort of the end of Friday night. You think I'm stuck here. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got the whole weekend.
And a sense of, the wide array of conference attendees and their sort of personal agendas. Like there are people who are all about the panels, and there are people who were just there to hang out at the bar and kind of catch up with old friends. And
Definitely. Yeah.
in creating all of the attendees, the cryptids that you depict, were there like favorites that you knew you had to include? And were there new ones that you learned about while researching? Were there new and old favorites?
Yes. So I mean I really loved designing all the monsters. That was my favorite part of this whole process. I love that some of them were teeny tiny and some of them were like so huge, which made thumbnailing a total new challenge for me. Usually all my characters are human sized, and not dragon sized and fairy sized, and yeah, so that was really cool. But yeah, I think what Paul is trying to get me to talk about. So I was really into when Paul and I were talking about something we could work on together. I said that I was really into like Japanese folklore and like yokai, like cryptids that they have over there. And I yeah, we're on the level now, Paul. So and in Japanese folklore they have uh this idea that if you have an object for more than, and it's more than 100 years old, it gains a soul, and becomes like a living thing, kind of like a ghost, I guess, that inhabits a thing. And it's called the Tsukimogami. I hope I'm saying that right. And yeah, so Paul very kindly put some of those in for me. So I got to draw some little cups walking around with little little expressions on them. So yeah, I mean, I learned about so many different cryptids because I didn't know many of them. One of my favorites that I got to draw was the Mongolian death worm, because Paul wanted me to put a lot of different expressions into this monster. And I tried my best. I hope I've done all right. But yeah, there's not much to work with because he's mostly a mouth. Um, but yeah, I did my
It
best.
it is one of the hardest things I've asked, isn't it? The
I
Mongolian
think
deathworm
so.
looks relieved. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
And I was like, well, that's okay. I can sort of give him with like, sagging shoulders as if he's exhaling. And I was like, well, he doesn't have shoulders. So that I had to really workshop that one.
basically a tube with teeth. I mean, yeah.
I thought he was very expressive. Yeah, well done. Yeah, when you don't have an anthropomorphic face, really hard to come up with facial expressions.
Yeah.
Um, I really love learning about the Tengu, and I love the design. Um, my exact fashion sensibility, I felt I really connected sort of with her entire vibe. So,
I love that.
um, what I really like too is sort of how you get into what I guess I want to call the the world building of sort of cryptid culture society. You manage to convey a lot of like really complex information about like culture, politics, as I said, dividing lines in society, stuff like that. Do you have a method for conveying large amounts of information really efficiently when you don't have a lot of space to sort of build that out?
Well, I think a murder mystery really is very useful for doing this stuff because it is a natural process of asking questions and getting answers, especially when the detective is somebody new to this world. The cryptids all ask Lindsay to be the detective because they don't trust each other, and she's the only human left in the building. And so everything gets uncovered and neatly presented, but equally, double page spread with a big map. That's really helpful. And and little things like I suddenly mention aliens because I think, oh, what about aliens? And the convention has a rule against them, and that's all we ever hear. So that's the edge of my set. The paint goes up to that edge and no further. Don't look behind that curtain.
Excellent. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense because yeah, our protagonist is also new to the world as the reader is, and so we're going to learn about it with her. It makes a ton of sense. I'd also love to talk about your approach, if you have one, for making this, I don't really want to say accessible, but engaging for a wide variety of audiences. Age-wise, I feel like, sometimes when people say something is all ages, they mean that it has like a sort of singular appeal that, appeals across age lines. But I feel like this has things for different age groups too. Like it will appeal to everybody because there is something for everybody there. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but
Yeah, I think we've been wrestling with this a bit. I must say I wrote it without thinking of an age group in mind.
Mm.
And there's no swear words. There's the violence is of a murder mystery nature and is entirely off panel. Why I'm saying yes, entirely off panel, I think. Unless that thing at the end. But no, let's gloss over that and no spoilers. But uh but there are some sexy bits, but they're between monsters. And so I'm not sure who it's for. Rachel, who do you think it's for?
I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think slapping the all ages term is a bit of a double-edged sword because people tend to look at that and think, oh, so it's for kids then. And it's n not really. I mean, there's nothing in it that would that I think, traumatize a kid. It's not like showing, a 4-year-old Jaws or anything, but like there's it the things that Lindsay is struggling with are very adult. She's at a difficult point of her life, sorry, that I think we've all maybe been there. Like she's very relatable to adults. She's, on this kind of precipice of choosing what she will do next, really. Which yeah isn't really something that a kid would have to choose, but at the same time there Paul's right, there isn't any bad language like that, so you can enjoy it still, and there are things to enjoy. My son Henry's 2.5, and he likes reading it. He likes looking at all the monsters and
Oh,
asking what they're all called, so there's something there for everyone.
yeah, I would think it's the sort of thing where children can read it.
Mm.
They might not get everything out of it, and it might leave them very confused about certain questions when it comes to puberty. But apart from that, when it comes to Mongolian death worms, etc. But apart from that, yeah, I think Rachel's exactly right. There is something there for,
I mean, it's a bit like Pixar movies have
yeah.
always have like bits that kids wouldn't understand, don't they? Like there's so
Yeah.
yeah, similar to that, I think.
And I think that's sort of built in also to how children consume media. Because I remember like, when you rewatch things you loved as a kid when you are an adult, there are things that you notice for the first time, like, oh, these
Mhm.
political things or these sort of more intimate double entendre stuff between characters, and you don't remember it because it just sort of went over your head at the time. It didn't really quite register with you. So I don't think that, a 2-year-old will be like, wait, so how did human colonialism affect how, the cryptids have allied themselves? But I think it's just so fun. It's so colorful, and the creatures are all really fun, and some of them are really, really, really cute. So
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. It's the most fun I've had on a project, I think, and I think you can see that in the pages. I think you can see the joy,
Who,
and
who
just
does who
yeah.
does Henry most like?
He really likes the jackalope, the
Oh,
rabbit with
yeah.
the horns. He has a lot of questions about the jackalope, and I don't know much about that one, but yeah.
Aw.
Um, and he likes Bob. He knows Bob is Bob.
The
Uh,
Beast of Bodmin Moor.
Ugh. Bob is exactly who I had in mind when I'm talking about being really, really cute. Just, oh, that face, that fuzzy face. Um, One last question, actually. I'm curious about like what the sort of the day-to-day nature of collaboration looks like for you. Were you in the same space ever? Was it about shared documents and sort of going back and forth on computers? And what does each of you think the other brings to your work?
Well, the simple bit is no, we didn't meet during it at all. We did this entirely remotely. Um, I
We're
mean, we
quite
have
far
met,
away
yeah.
geographically, aren't we? Like,
I mean, we do meet regularly at the Thought Bubble convention, but not
mm.
during this project. But I would say what Rachel brings is almost everything. I mean, I just write the words they put in the balloons. The and well, plotted out the entire thing with a murder mystery amongst cryptids. So I won't avoid tooting my own trumpet, but the no that sense of the cute and that balancing act with human emotion, that knowing exactly where the end of cute is and where real is, it's genius. She's going to win the Eisner one day. I voted for comics laureate. I think she's a stone cold genius, and people don't recognize that enough. And I'm privileged to have worked with her, and I will let her make the acceptance speech while I stand back there holding the trophy, thinking, well, I'll get a trophy.
Oh, Paul, you're gonna make me cry. Um, yeah, Paul brought nothing. It was all me, really. No, I'm joking. No, Paul's, like I said, I had such fun on this project. Paul's script is just, it's a joy to read, just on its own. And like he mentioned earlier, he kind of uh, writers lean into the artist that they're writing for. I felt that lean. I felt like yeah, he really was writing for me, and that was something really special. Paul and I are pals, like outside of comics, so I think that helps with the collaboration as well. I think because I write as well, so I think the fact that I understand what goes into that helps as well. But also I've worked with other writers, and the number one thing I usually have to ask with other writers is how is this character feeling? They'll usually tell me lots and lots and lots of information about a panel, but not really, because a character could be saying something but feeling a completely different thing. And I usually say, oh, well, does this character believe what they're saying at this point? Like what's going through their mind? And the writer's usually like, oh yeah, I didn't really think to write that. Sorry, I'll write it now. I didn't have to ask that with Paul at all. And part of that is because he's a brilliant writer, but part of that is also that we kind of, I mean, we just get each other.
Oh, well, that's lovely. Yeah, I always like to wrap when I'm interviewing collaborators, like just say something nice about each other.
Oh, has that ever gone badly wrong?
Oh, not
Just
yet.
silent.
Fingers crossed it does someday, because that would be really interesting. Well, thank you so much for joining us. What is next for you both? Do you have individual projects going on, and do you think you'll collaborate again on something like this?
Sorry, I did a
It's
bit
been
of
awful.
miming again there. Yes. I mean, I'd love to. Anytime her schedule's freed up, and we've said there might be a sequel, maybe. But no, you go first with what. No. What I'm doing next is I become a publisher. I have a graphic novel by Adrian Tchaikovsky and Mike Collins on pre-order on Amazon as we speak. That's Salvation's Child, and if you like science fiction, it's the start of Adrian Tchaikovsky's big science fiction book series, The Final Architecture, but in comics form, and it's original and new and hasn't been seen before anywhere. Thank you. Blurb over. That's my next thing.
I do a autobiographical comic called Nap Comics about being a new mum, although not so new anymore because he's nearly 3. In December he'll be 3, which is absolutely bonkers. But I'm bringing that to Kickstarter in October, so I'd love people to look up that. If you search Nap Comics, it's comics.
Genius. Comics with an X.
Yeah, comics with an X. Nap Comics. If you search that on Kickstarter, you can sign up to be told when it launches. That'll launch in October. I'm very excited for that to be hopefully a book with people's help. But yeah, that's what I'm on at the moment.
Those are both incredibly exciting projects, and I will drop some links into the show notes so that folks can follow up on them. Yeah, thank you again for your time. This has been really lovely.
Thanks for having us. It's been really fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, listeners, please check out Who Killed Nessie. By the time that you hear this, it will be out in the world. So please head to your favorite bookstore or comic book store or library or website, wherever you like to go for those things. All right, we'll catch you next time. It's time to close this chapter.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.